Something shifted in Cleveland this offseason, and it wasn't gradual. It wasn't whispered in hallways or debated quietly among coaches. It exploded across every football timeline at once, forcing fans, analysts, and the entire organization to confront a question nobody wanted to ask just weeks ago. A simple training camp drill, nothing dramatic, nothing chaotic, revealed something that's become impossible to ignore. And while one quarterback scrambles to answer questions about his health, his mobility, and his future, another young player is quietly building something the Browns might not be able to refuse. This isn't about drama or manufactured rivalry. This is about what happens when physical limitations meet opportunity, when a rookie's emergence forces an organization to make the hardest choice a franchise can face. The story unfolding in Cleveland right now will define this entire season. And it all started with a video that nobody saw coming. It feels like the situation creeping back into consciousness all over again, except this time it's different. This isn't speculation or projection. This is footage. This is evidence. The moment it dropped, everything changed. Here's what happened. During a training camp session, routine, controlled, nothing remotely chaotic, Deshaun Watson was running through a basic footwork drill. Shadow drills are fundamental quarterback work. You're practicing movement, footwork, timing, and rhythm under conditions where there's zero pressure, zero defenders, and zero chaos. Your only job is to execute clean mechanics. Shift your weight, plant your foot, sell a deception, create that sharp hesitation that separates elite footwork from average. This isn't complicated stuff. Every NFL quarterback runs these drills thousands of times throughout their career. But the moment the camera caught what happened next, the entire tone shifted. The video started circulating, and once it hit social media timelines, that was genuinely it. Everybody had an opinion. Group chats erupted. Comment sections transformed into combat zones. Former quarterbacks became impromptu footwork analysts. Even that friend who only tunes in during the playoffs suddenly had takes about Watson's mechanics. It was relentless. What made it worse is that the video is genuinely unforgettable once you watch it. Your eyes lock onto it immediately. You can't unsee it. Watson was attempting what should have been textbook movement, basic mechanics, controlled conditions, nothing that should look uncomfortable. But instead of smooth, explosive, controlled motion, there was hesitation. Instead of a clean transition between positions, there was awkwardness. His footwork didn't match his upper body. His plant foot seemed uncertain. His timing was off. Most critically, there was no balance. His lower body appeared to have forgotten its assignment entirely. What made this particularly damaging wasn't the mistake itself. It was the absence of chaos. This wasn't a first-round defensive end collapsing the pocket, forcing Watson to improvise. There wasn't a linebacker blitzing off the edge, creating pressure that could explain instability. There weren't defenders charging at him, creating the kind of real-world conditions that sometimes expose vulnerabilities. This was a controlled practice environment. This was supposed to be easy. This was supposed to be automatic for a quarterback of his experience and pedigree. The hesitation in his movements, the uncertainty in his plant foot, the way his body seemed to lag behind his intentions, all of it was caught on camera and distributed across every platform within hours. You could feel the network effect happening in real time. Every share, every repost, every person adding their interpretation amplified the concern. And the scariest part, the initial reaction from people who actually know football wasn't dismissive. It wasn't "this is overblown" or "one bad rep means nothing." The reaction was concern, legitimate concern. Because here's the thing about NFL tape, it doesn't lie to people who understand the game. Coaches see it immediately. Former players recognize it. Analysts break it down in seconds. And fans, even casual ones, can sense when something's fundamentally wrong with a quarterback's mechanics. You don't need to be an expert to recognize when a player's body isn't responding the way it should. The media machine, of course, went absolutely nuclear with it. Articles were written about Watson's future. Debate shows replayed the clip endlessly. Social media personalities who'd been relatively quiet suddenly had hot takes. And the worst part for Watson, the narrative was already forming. Some people started immediately connecting this to his calf injury recovery. Others speculated about whether he'd truly regained his mobility. The video became shorthand for a much larger concern. Is Deshaun Watson actually healthy? Can he still move the way he used to? Is his body ready for the demands of the position? But here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of the narrative dying down after a few days, which is what typically happens with training camp footage, it persisted. It grew. People kept resharing it. Analysts kept discussing it. And with every reshare, the context became more dramatic, the implications grew darker, and the question became less about mechanics and more about Watson's viability as a franchise quarterback. The video became the central story of Cleveland's entire offseason. Not the new coaching staff, not the offensive system, not the receiving core upgrades. The story became about one quarterback's footwork looking uncomfortable in a drill with 0 defenders present. That's how powerful the image was. That's how damaging one 15-second clip can be in the modern NFL landscape. And while Watson was dealing with this viral moment, while he was watching his mechanics dissected frame by frame across social platforms, something else was happening across the facility. A rookie was walking in, looking completely unbothered, and starting to build something that would make Watson's viral video moment seem like the least of his problems. Here's what people who don't follow football closely might miss. This video isn't just embarrassing for Watson because of the mechanics. It's catastrophic because of what those mechanics represent about his entire game at the professional level. Deshaun Watson was never the kind of quarterback who thrived standing motionless in the pocket, scanning the field like a statue, waiting for receivers to separate downfield. That's never been his identity. That's never been the foundation of his game. If you go back through his entire career, his time in Houston, his success in the league, the reasons Cleveland gave him a fully guaranteed massive contract, it was never about his ability to be immobile and accurate. That's not who he is as a player. His game has always been built on something entirely different. His value comes from creativity, mobility, instinct, and intuition. When pressure increases, Watson doesn't panic, he reacts. When protection breaks down and the pocket collapses, he doesn't freeze and hope. He adapts, he creates, he makes something happen out of nothing. His best moments as a quarterback typically come when plays descend into chaos. That's when his genius surfaces. That's when he becomes most dangerous. Think about it this way. When everyone else is seeing disaster in a broken play, Watson sees opportunity. His offensive line gets beat. Instead of taking a sack or forcing an incompletion, he sidesteps, rolls, manipulates space, and turns the broken play into a 20-yard gain and a first down. That ability, that escape route, was always his built-in safety net. Defenses knew it. They had to account for it. They had to be disciplined about it because Watson could single-handedly dismantle defensive schemes through pure athleticism and instinct. That fast twitch mobility, that sudden burst when the pocket collapses, that ability to sense pressure before it even materializes, that body control in chaotic moments, those weren't just appealing qualities. They were the entire engine of his offensive system. Take that out of the equation, and you're not talking about the same quarterback anymore. You're talking about a completely different player. And that's exactly why the video is so terrifying for Browns fans. Because what the world saw wasn't just clumsy footwork in a practice drill. It wasn't overblown social media reaction, though social media certainly amplified it. What people actually witnessed was potential evidence that Watson might not have fully recovered his most critical physical attribute: his mobility, his movement, his ability to escape and create. Now, here's the medical reality that nobody wants to discuss openly, but everyone's thinking about. Yes, it's possible the calf injury has completely healed. Sure, the trainers have probably checked all the boxes. The scans might show everything is clear. The doctors probably gave him clearance. On paper, in a rehabilitation setting, everything probably looks great. But football isn't played on paper. Football doesn't care what the medical charts show. Football is played in chaos, in real time, against defenders who want to destroy you. Football happens when bodies collide at full speed. It happens when defenders close gaps in less than a second. It happens when your feet have to respond before your brain finishes processing information. It happens in situations where a split-second delay in lower body response can mean the difference between a successful play and a catastrophic sack. And careers can be fundamentally altered if your body fails you at that critical moment. This is why the video matters so much. This is why fans are genuinely concerned. This is why the conversation in Cleveland has shifted from optimistic to anxious. Because the question isn't whether Watson has been cleared by doctors to practice. The question is whether he's still capable of being Deshaun Watson, the dynamic, mobile, creative quarterback who was brought to Cleveland to change the franchise. When a quarterback can't execute clean footwork in a controlled practice environment with zero defenders, zero chaos, and zero pressure, it raises serious red flags. Not subtle ones, not the kind that suggest monitoring and reassessing next week. We're talking about full-fledged emergency signals. The kind that makes coaching staff exchange worried glances. The kind that makes every subsequent repetition get examined under a microscope. Because here's what happens on Sunday afternoon when a first-round defensive end comes off the edge with genuine intensity, when the pocket starts collapsing, when Watson has to improvise because the first read is covered and the second option disappeared. If he's already struggling with basic footwork in a controlled setting, what happens when the real pressure arrives? What happens when he actually has to use the mobility that's supposed to be his greatest asset? And while Watson is processing all of this, while he's dealing with viral videos, concerned coaching staff, and questions about his physical capabilities, another quarterback is walking into the facility with zero baggage, unburdened by injury concerns, completely confident, and ready to take every opportunity he's given. This is where it gets psychologically complicated. Medical clearance and football reality exist in completely different universes. The Browns' medical staff probably did their job correctly. The trainers probably ran comprehensive tests. The doctors probably signed off on Watson's return. On a standard recovery timeline, everything probably looks exactly like it should. But here's what rehabilitation environments don't prepare you for: the real game. Rehabilitation is controlled. It's predictable. You're moving at speeds and intensities you choose. You're working with trained professionals who aren't trying to destroy you. You're on surfaces designed to protect your joints. You're performing movements in isolation, without defenders, without chaos, without the genuine pressure that defines professional football. Real football is the complete opposite. It's uncontrolled. It's chaotic. It's faster than anything you experience in rehabilitation. It's violent. Defenders are coming at you with the intent to disrupt your equilibrium. The pocket collapses in milliseconds. You have to make split-second decisions with incomplete information. Your body has to respond instantaneously to threats you see in your peripheral vision. This is where recovery timelines become irrelevant. The concerning part about Watson's situation is that it's not just about physical healing anymore. It's become a mental and proprioceptive issue. Quarterbacks have an extraordinarily sophisticated internal awareness system. When something isn't right with their body, they know it. They feel it. They recognize when their automatic movements start requiring conscious thought. They sense when their plant foot isn't responding with the usual precision. They notice when their lower body is operating a split second slower than it should be. And that's where the real damage occurs. Because there's a massive psychological difference between a quarterback who looks physically uncomfortable and one who looks mentally confused because they've lost confidence in their body's responses. The physical limitation is one problem. The mental layer, the doubt, the hesitation, the conscious thought being applied to movements that should be automatic, that's an entirely different beast. If you watch that viral video closely, it's not just the balance issues that jump out. It's not just the awkward footwork. What catches your attention is something subtler but infinitely more concerning. Watson looked agitated. He looked irritated. He appeared to be acutely aware that the cameras were rolling, that the internet never forgets, and that whatever showed up on that footage would be dissected endlessly. He seemed frustrated with his own body's response. That's the mental component breaking down right before your eyes. Think about what's happening in his mind during that drill. He's supposed to be executing automatic movements. His brain shouldn't be actively managing his footwork. It should just happen. But if his body isn't responding the way it's supposed to, he's forced to consciously think about what should be unconscious. He's trying to problem-solve his own mechanics while simultaneously executing them. That creates hesitation. That creates the exact kind of uncomfortable, uncertain movement pattern that showed up on camera. Now imagine that same scenario on Sunday, with a first-round defensive end bearing down on him, the pocket collapsing, the crowd roaring, 30 seconds ticking off the play clock, and receivers running routes that depend on him making a decision in under 3 seconds. If he's already doubting his body's ability to respond automatically in a controlled practice setting, how is he supposed to trust his instincts when everything is moving at game speed and the consequences are measured in wins and losses? This is the real crisis. It's not just about recovery timelines. It's about whether Watson's confidence in his own mobility has been permanently shaken. Has he lost faith in his lower body? Is he now consciously managing movements that should be purely instinctive? Because once that doubt enters a quarterback's mind, it spreads like poison through every aspect of their game. The medical team probably can't fix that part. They can clear him physically. They can certify that his calf has healed. They can confirm that he meets all the biomechanical benchmarks. But they can't restore the unconscious confidence that elite quarterbacks need to operate at their highest level. They can't remove the memory of that moment in the drill when his body didn't respond the way it should. They can't erase the viral video that's been watched millions of times or the persistent questions about his health. What makes this situation even more complicated is that Watson almost certainly knows exactly what happened. He knows what he felt when his footwork went sideways. He knows his body isn't responding with its usual explosiveness. He probably knows, at least on some level, that the recovery from this injury has been more challenging than publicly acknowledged. And he definitely knows that another quarterback just walked in looking completely unbothered, completely confident, and completely ready to take advantage of every opportunity. The Browns' medical team can clear Watson all they want. But they can't clear the doubt from his mind. They can't restore the automatic confidence in his mobility that made him elite. And they certainly can't stop what's about to happen as Shedeur Sanders keeps building momentum in that locker room. While Watson was dealing with the aftermath of that viral moment, something genuinely remarkable was happening across the facility. A rookie showed up to rookie mini camp looking like he'd been waiting his entire life for exactly this moment. And he showed up ready. This wasn't the typical rookie energy. This wasn't a young player showing up with wide eyes, nervous energy, or uncertainty about whether he belonged. Shedeur Sanders arrived at that facility as though he already understood why he was there, as though he'd already grasped what the opportunity meant, as though he wasn't interested in being developed gradually or treated as a long-term project. He showed up prepared to compete, immediately, and the coaching staff noticed. Todd Monken, the new offensive coordinator, wasn't running some light introductory program designed to make the rookie feel comfortable or gradually ease him into the system. On day one, Shedeur got 11 on 11 repetitions. Full contact situations, real defensive looks, actual coverage reading. Not handoffs, not screens, not simple check-down passes. Real football. That decision, giving a rookie meaningful 11 on 11 reps on day one, that sends a message. Those repetitions aren't handed out like free samples at a supermarket. They're valuable. They're highly coveted. They're the reps that matter most because they show coaching staff exactly what a quarterback is capable of when it matters. Monken chose to give those reps to Sanders instead of distributing them evenly among the quarterbacks on the roster. That choice reveals priority. That choice reveals interest. And Sanders didn't recoil from the challenge. He didn't look overwhelmed. He didn't retreat into cautious decision-making or conservative play calling. On the very first day, he went out and completed 80% of his passes. Just sit with that stat for a moment. A rookie, first day of meaningful competition, 80% completion rate against actual NFL defenses. That number alone would be enough to make every quarterback in that building feel slightly uncomfortable. The conversation shifts immediately. It's no longer maybe someday. It's no longer give him a year to develop. It's no longer he's a project, he's got potential. It becomes how soon is too soon, but what's actually impressive isn't just the completion percentage. It's not just the surface-level statistics. It's what people who actually understand quarterback play started noticing immediately. The timing, the rhythm, the connection he was already building with receivers, it was already there. The chemistry felt fluid, not forced. Natural, not manufactured. He wasn't tossing the ball toward receivers hoping they'd make spectacular plays. He was tracking defender hips, reading coverage leverage, anticipating where the ball needed to be placed to maximize separation. There's a difference between a quarterback who completes passes and a quarterback who has timing with his receivers. Completion percentage reflects accuracy. Timing reflects understanding. Timing reflects film study. Timing reflects hours spent learning how a particular receiver breaks on a route, how quickly they process information, where they're most comfortable catching the ball. Timing is the product of chemistry that hasn't had time to develop yet, but somehow is developing anyway. One AFC executive who watched Deshaun during his final Texans season, back when Houston won just 4 games and lost 12, Yet Watson still put up respectable numbers, described what he witnessed from Sanders in early camp. He said it shocked him. He said the instinct, the field vision, the natural timing, those aren't things coaches can install overnight. Those are inherent quarterback abilities. Those are the byproducts of someone who understands football at a deeper level. Think about what that means for Watson, who's sitting there watching all of this unfold while his own footage is being viral for the wrong reasons. While he's dealing with concerns about his mobility and his health recovery, this rookie is building something tangible with the receivers. Sanders is the one getting meaningful repetitions. Sanders is the one developing the rhythm and trust that transforms good offenses into great ones. Sanders is the one creating the unspoken chemistry that exists only between quarterbacks who know their receivers' tendencies before the roots even develop. The mathematics of this situation is brutal in its simplicity. Every rep Sanders takes, he's learning the offense. Every throw, he's building connection with receivers. Every decision, he's establishing himself as someone the coaching staff can trust. Meanwhile, Watson is managing concerns about his body and watching from a different position in the depth chart than he's accustomed to. Chemistry doesn't appear overnight. It's not something that develops in a single week or a few highlight plays. It emerges through repetition. It grows through the seemingly mundane Tuesday install sessions, the routine practice reps, the small adjustments and corrections that happen thousands of times throughout a season. Each tiny timing adjustment, each split-second response, each nod that only the quarterback and receiver understand, that's where championship-level chemistry is built. And Sanders is currently taking more of those reps than Watson. That's not opinion. That's not speculation. That's mathematics. That's coaching staff priority. That's a clear statement about where the organization's focus is directed. Every day Sanders spends in that facility, the gap between his chemistry with the receivers and Watson's chemistry with the same receivers grows wider. The frightening part for Watson isn't just about his physical recovery anymore. It's about falling behind developmentally while trying to recover from an injury that apparently isn't recovering as quickly as the medical staff publicly suggests. Here's something that gets missed in most analyses of quarterback competitions. The coaching staff doesn't play games with rep allocation if they're serious about finding an answer at the position. They don't distribute reps equally among 3 quarterbacks if they're trying to make an informed decision. They don't hide their priorities. If you know football, you can read the signals immediately. Todd Monken isn't running the traditional coaching game where every quarterback gets evaluated equally and the whole thing is supposedly a free-for-all open competition. That narrative is something coaches tell the media. That's what gets printed in beat reports. But the actual decision-making process is significantly more transparent if you're watching what happens rather than listening to what's being said. On day 1 of rookie minicamp, 11 on 11 reps went to Shedeur. That tells you something right away. Those reps aren't distributed like favors. They're allocated based on priority. They're given to players the coaching staff wants to evaluate immediately at meaningful intensity levels. When a rookie gets those reps on day 1, it means the coaching staff is investing in understanding what that player is capable of. It means they're not treating this as a developmental situation. It means they're treating this as a genuine competition where outcome matters. But there's more to what Monken is doing that goes beyond basic rep allocation. He installed helmet cameras on the quarterbacks. Actual helmet-mounted cameras that record exactly what each quarterback is seeing in real time. This isn't amateur hour football evaluation. This is sophisticated, next-level assessment. Here's why that matters. In regular practice, coaches can see the play develop from the sideline perspective. They can see formations, they can see coverages, they can see whether the receiver got open. But they can't see what the quarterback's actually looking at. They can't know which coverage their quarterback identified first. They can't determine whether the quarterback's attention was drawn to the wrong area of the field. They can't assess decision-making process. Helmet cameras change all of that. With helmet footage, Monken can watch in real time where each quarterback's eyes go. He can see which coverage they're reading. He can determine how quickly they're processing information. He can evaluate progression reads. Are they going first option, second option, third option, or are they skipping reads and forcing bad throws? He can assess decision-making speed. He can see hesitation. He can see confidence. He can literally watch the quarterback's decision-making process unfold through their eyes. That's not lighthearted coaching. That's serious evaluation. That's a coaching staff that's trying to understand what they actually have at the quarterback position, not just what the surface-level statistics suggest. That's a staff making informed decisions about the future based on actual cognitive and processing ability. And according to everything that's come out of camp, Shedeur is giving Monken exactly what he needs to see. Accuracy? Check. Processing speed? Check. Command of the pocket? Check. Arm talent? Check. Decision-making? Check. Progression reads? Check. Timing and anticipation? Check. All the things that coaching staffs obsess about when no media is watching and no one's judging. But here's the really telling part. Monken isn't just assessing Shedeur. He's building around him. He's not running the same offensive concepts for all his quarterbacks and seeing who executes them best. He's actively creating plays designed to maximize Shedeur's strengths. He's designing pass concepts that play to his accuracy. He's calling plays that fit his rhythm. He's designing deep concepts that take advantage of his arm talent. He's testing his vision with coverage reads that demand sophisticated understanding. When a head coach starts making those kinds of investments in a young quarterback, it sends a message. It suggests that the coaching staff has already made internal decisions about the future. It suggests that they're not just evaluating, they're planning. They're not just assessing, they're building. And the entire facility can see it. The supporting cast matters too. Monken is putting Shedeur around receivers and offensive linemen who can help him succeed. He's creating an environment designed for a young quarterback to build chemistry quickly and develop the kind of understanding that accelerates growth. He's not throwing Shedeur into chaos and hoping he survives. He's constructing a pathway for success. Compare that to what's happening with Watson. He's not getting the same volume of meaningful reps. He's not getting plays specifically designed to fit his strengths. The offensive staff isn't building around him in the same way. The environment isn't designed to accelerate his recovery and rebuild confidence. He's being asked to fit into a system that's being constructed around someone else. The reality of professional sports is that coaching staffs have to make decisions about the future. They have to allocate resources. They have to decide who gets the most valuable repetitions. They have to determine who's worth building around. And those decisions get made through rep allocation, through system design, through the daily choices about who gets meaningful opportunities and who doesn't. Monken is making his decision with every rep he gives to Shedeur. He's making it with every helmet camera he watches. He's making it with every play he designs specifically for his rookie. And that decision is starting to become impossible to ignore. The coaching staff is clearly signaling that they're not just evaluating two quarterbacks. They're building a future around the one who's proven he can handle it. There's something about a perfectly thrown deep ball that ends conversations immediately. It's not something you can argue about. It's not open to interpretation. When a quarterback steps back, reads coverage with precision, identifies the right window, and delivers a ball with touch, trajectory, and placement that allows a receiver to make a catch at full stride, everyone watching knows exactly what they witnessed. The deep ball drill came during practice, and if anyone had any lingering questions about Shedeur's arm talent after that moment, they were completely erased. What he demonstrated wasn't just arm strength. It wasn't just the ability to throw the ball far. It was the combination of mechanics, decision-making, and poise under pressure that separates elite arm talent from adequate arm talent. Shedeur stepped back looking composed. There was no panic in his demeanor, no rushing the throw, no wasted motion. He gathered himself, coiled his body, used those extended controls, and fired it with authority. But here's what made it really special. The ball didn't just travel 50 yards downfield. It had grace, it had a beautiful trajectory, it had exact placement, it had perfect timing. The football seemed to have some kind of built-in navigation system as it descended. It fit into the receiver's stride perfectly. It positioned the catch so the receiver could accelerate immediately after the catch and gain yards after reception. That's not just arm strength. That's understanding leverage. That's anticipating coverage. That's knowing exactly where to place the ball so your receiver has the best possible chance at success. That's the kind of throw that makes teammates stop and look at each other in silent recognition. And it wasn't some isolated, perfect moment. A touchdown completion on the left side in the final moments of practice essentially put an end to any remaining doubt about whether this rookie belonged in this conversation. Shedeur took a step back, surveyed the defensive alignment, shifted his gaze to the left, quickly evaluated the coverage leverage, identified an opening, and then fired an absolute laser with authority. There was no hesitation, no second guessing, no delayed response, just the pure confidence of someone who knows exactly what they're capable of doing. When the ball was released, it hit its target with perfect precision. The receiver grabbed it with ease and slid into the end zone for a touchdown. And immediately after that play, there was a noticeable shift in the stadium's atmosphere. Players felt it. Coaches recognized it. Everyone on that field paid attention. This wasn't just another training camp rep. This was a moment that changed the energy of the entire facility. But what happened after practice might have been even more important than what happened during it. When Shedeur spoke to the gathered media as practice ended, anyone expecting false humility or manufactured modesty was completely wrong. He didn't downplay what he just demonstrated. He didn't offer cautious, scripted answers or obvious rookie nervousness. He spoke with the kind of confidence that's usually reserved for players who are absolutely certain about their abilities because they've just proven them unequivocally on film. There was no fake humility, no rote responses, no obvious fear of what the media might write about him. He discussed the tangible enthusiasm that Munkin has brought to the team. He acknowledged the high expectations. He talked about the intense competition. He referenced the higher standards the coaching staff is implementing. And then he did something genuinely interesting. He focused on the critics, the people spreading unfavorable narratives, the detractors who have been building doubt around his ability to succeed at this level. He didn't get defensive about it. He didn't lash out. He simply reframed their entire perspective. True Cleveland Browns fans, he essentially said, aren't distracted by dramatic headlines and manufactured controversies. They're focused on football. They care about real performance. They pay attention to what happens when the lights are on and the cameras are rolling. And what those fans have actually witnessed from him is something that goes beyond the noise. So the critics can change their narrative because the product speaks for itself. That's not rookie talk. That's not the kind of public presentation you expect from a player without NFL experience. That's the kind of confidence and media savvy that you typically see from veteran quarterbacks who have been through multiple seasons of NFL scrutiny. It's the kind of response that suggests Shedeur understands this is bigger than just football. It's about narrative. It's about how a quarterback manages his public image while simultaneously performing at the highest level. Compare that to Deshaun Watson's approach. Watson hasn't been engaging with media in the same way. He's been quieter, more withdrawn, which makes complete sense given what he's dealing with: a viral video questioning his physical health, concerns about his recovery, the emergence of a competitor who looks completely unbothered by the pressure. But the contrast is striking. Watson is dealing with external pressure that's clearly affecting his psyche. Shedeur is acknowledging the noise, dismissing it, and moving on to focus on what actually matters. Watson is managing doubt about his body's responses. Shedeur is performing with the kind of confidence that suggests he's never questioned his ability for a second. This is where the psychological dimension of quarterback competition becomes evident. It's not just about completion percentages and yards. It's about mental resilience. It's about how a player manages pressure. It's about whether doubt enters your mind or whether you operate with unwavering confidence. Shedeur is winning that battle decisively, and everyone in that facility knows it. This is the part that people often overlook when discussing quarterback competition. The pressure isn't just about throwing touchdowns and avoiding interceptions. It's about something far more psychological and pervasive. It's about the kind of pressure that seeps into your work life, that infiltrates your film study sessions, that shows up during team meetings, that follows you around the facility long after practice ends. Deshaun Watson is facing a completely different type of pressure than what you experience from a blitzing linebacker or a defensive end coming off the edge. That pressure is physical and manageable. It's something quarterbacks train their entire lives to handle. This pressure is different. It's omnipresent. It's psychological. It's the kind of pressure that affects how you approach your day-to-day work, how you interact with teammates, how you prepare mentally for competition. The viral video exposed a vulnerability that Watson absolutely did not want the entire football world to witness at this particular moment. His footwork faltered. His equilibrium faltered. The energy that once distinguished him as one of the strongest, most dynamic quarterbacks in football seemed compromised. And in this league, it doesn't take long for observers to notice when your fundamental movements betray you. Coaches watch. They're studying every rep, every movement, every decision. Teammates recognize when something's off. They're standing near you in the locker room. They're watching you in meetings. They're observing your body language. Front office staff registers the implications. Fans clearly see the video and are forming opinions. And suddenly, every decision you make gets viewed through the lens of that one moment that went viral. Watson has to show up to work every single day knowing that everyone around him has seen that video. They've formed opinions about whether he's healthy. They're assessing whether his mobility has returned. They're questioning whether the investment in him was wise. That's the kind of pressure that accumulates silently but relentlessly. It affects your confidence in ways that might not be immediately visible but absolutely impact performance. And while he's managing that pressure, something else is happening. Shedeur Sanders is not waiting around for anything. He's not sitting on the sideline hoping for an opportunity. He's not asking for permission to compete. He's not pleading for a chance to prove himself. Every single day, he's walking into that facility and taking advantage of every opportunity in front of him. One successful connection at a time. One accurate pass at a time. One clean repetition at a time. He's showing up and doing his job with such clarity of purpose that it makes everything easier for the coaching staff. He's forcing them to pay attention. He's making it harder and harder to ignore what's happening. And every snap Shedeur takes makes this whole quarterback competition seem less like an actual contest and more like a shift that's already in motion. It's starting to look less like two players fighting for position and more like one player emerging while another one manages injury recovery and confidence issues. Chemistry is what Shedeur is building, not just with individual receivers, but with the entire offensive system. He's absorbing the playbook. He's learning the protection calls. He's developing the instinctual understanding of how plays are supposed to develop. He's gaining the trust of the coaching staff and his teammates. He's gathering meaningful game footage that demonstrates his capability. He's creating a compelling narrative that says, "This guy is ready now, not someday." And each time he takes the field, each time he throws an accurate pass, each time he makes a good decision, the Cleveland Browns find it harder and harder to pretend they don't understand what's happening. The cognitive dissonance between what the organization committed to financially with Watson and what they're witnessing from Sanders on the field is becoming impossible to ignore. Because the organization isn't just waiting for the future anymore. The future is actively making a statement about its existence right now. And that future has Shedeur Sanders' jersey number on it. Every rep he gets is a statement. Every successful throw is a statement. Every moment of confidence he displays on the field is a statement about what this organization is actually building toward. Watson is trying to manage physical recovery while operating under intense scrutiny. He's trying to rebuild confidence in his body while watching another quarterback build chemistry with the same receivers he's supposed to develop understanding with. He's trying to demonstrate that he's still the player Cleveland invested in while that investment is increasingly being redirected towards someone else. The pressure is mounting, not because Watson is failing spectacularly, but because the alternative is succeeding so clearly that the organization can't reasonably ignore it. The pressure isn't coming from failure. It's coming from competition that's too good to dismiss. That's a fundamentally different and potentially more damaging kind of pressure, because it removes the narrative of "this is temporary, we just need to be patient." It replaces it with "we need to make a decision, and the evidence is pointing in a clear direction." And that pressure is building every single day in that facility. Every morning when Watson walks in, every moment he watches Shedeur take meaningful reps. Every time he hears the crowd react differently to a freshman's performance than it has to his own. The pressure is there, and it's not going away. After everything we've witnessed this offseason, the viral video, the mechanical concerns, the questions about Watson's mobility, the emergence of Shedeur Sanders making plays that demand respect, I want to ask you a direct question, and I need an honest answer. Do you genuinely believe Deshaun Watson can become the elite, dynamic quarterback he once was? Is this just a short-term setback, a recovery period that needs more time and repetitions and self-assurance? Or did that viral video reveal something deeper about where Watson actually is physically right now? Most importantly, if you were running the Cleveland Browns today, if you had final control over the franchise's future, Would you commit to Deshaun Watson moving forward? Or would you trust Shedeur Sanders with this offense and never look back? Because the truth is, this quarterback situation has moved beyond speculation. The narrative is shifting, the pressure is mounting, and what happens next will define this franchise's entire trajectory. The story is just getting started, and your voice matters in this conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments, be honest. Real football insights only.